Hi, thanks so much for joining us with APC Chats, where we basically work to spotlight people, voices, and opinions that deserve a platform and may not often get it. That said, feel free to join us in the conversation, following us at APC Collective on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So going to get started. With us today, we have Mike Special from Sett Studios, and we just kind of wanted to talk about the journey of entrepreneurship. You have a lot of different ideas. You've executed successfully on all of those ideas. You have many partners, many clients, many friends within the Austin community and around. We're actually hosting the podcast series, the first APC Chats at South by 2017 in the warehouse of Sett Studio. And the pods that we're working with, everyone has just loved them. From the it's not high-end in price, but the beautiful one that I'm looking at, to the more standard beautiful one that we're in, to the one that we're going to create just a few feet away. Everybody intuitively just loves the work that you're doing. And I know this is only a fraction of who you guys are and what you do. So I wanted to give you that props first and foremost, and then also let you share the story of how this all came to be.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think first of all, what we do is something that's definitely a love and an informal art form as well. First of all, we're local Austin custom home builders here in Texas, and I've been doing that for about 18 years now. And there became a time in Austin where the market slowed down. People needed to add space, or needed a bedroom, needed an office space, but couldn't necessarily sell the home that they were in, or purchase another one just due to the market trends. So we came up with the idea of being able to office out of little pods like this that you didn't have to add on, you didn't have to remodel. They answered many questions for a lot of people. Plus, it was another artistic outlet for us. There was a couple other companies doing it at the time, and we felt we could do it better. So just like most things, you take an idea and you want to transform it and make it better. And we looked at these small modulars as a way to take what we did from being a residential contractor and building custom homes and just taking that and shrinking it on a smaller square footage. We wanted it to be appealing. We didn't want it to look like the other sheds that were on the market, and we wanted it to be something that you could be proud of, something that you actually enjoyed to work in or work from. So that was kind of a spawn of the studio movement for us, at least here in Austin. And then from there, it's kind of blossomed. We've been really lucky and really blessed to actually have a larger studio in which we can put several of these in and actually utilize them and practice what we preach, utilize smaller square footages and try to create more of a communal type effect with other smart business owners like yourself and people with visions and things of that nature that the Austin community definitely needs.
So the trend to go small has been happening for a few years now. I feel like you guys started it because back when it wasn't a TV show on HGTV or it wasn't featured in Dwell as often as it is now, you guys really, in my mind, kind of led the way, at least locally for sure, in smaller designs. How did that come about? Like, where was that idea from?
And I think a lot of it came from our houses too. We do a lot of our building primarily in the downtown area, which land is a little more scarce. So to get more features or more attributes in a house in a smaller square footage was something that we had to do. Constantly as an entrepreneur in business, you want to do something or build a product that sets yourself apart from others. There's several home builders in Austin. What can we do in this inner city to set us apart from someone else? What can we build? What can we add? What are going to be the things that are going to set us apart from our competition? So in taking a lot of those scenarios that we utilized in our home building, we tried to do the exact same thing in the small movement. So even though we may have built 1,500 square foot houses, we were still squeezing, decent sized living rooms, kitchens, with 3 and 4 bedrooms at times. So it's taking that exact mentality and just scaling it down. I think what you truly need in a living space or in a workspace is actually a lot smaller than we think. And design has everything to do with that. If something's designed for a use or built for a use, you will use it in that manner, realizing you don't need as much of a space as you imagine.
So it's about crystallizing the intention of use of space.
Absolutely. It's much like the 100 square foot one that we have in the back. We've got a 100 square foot studio that I wanted you to stick your eyes on.
Yeah.
Because in telling someone, it's 8 foot by 12, it's 100 square feet, a little under, but until you walk in it, you don't realize it will feel a lot larger than that. So was that the experience that you had when you actually walked into it?
Once I saw it, because on paper and my instinct, and maybe I'm Americanized and I just want more and bigger and is better. And then when I started looking at it, it was like, wait a minute, I can get that quality that I'm looking at right now in a smaller design that's going to be fully functional, and you have my needs in mind, so I know you're going to make it work. Like, yeah, and for the price, I'm absolutely going to do it. So it's also rethinking scale and value. And I'm a design fanatic, but I trust you and your sensibilities, and that's why I'm like, yeah, we can go smaller.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's something that, until you experience fully, it's something that you don't realize. We always just want bigger. We always want more.
Yeah.
Until
Texas.
Absolutely. Everything's bigger in Texas. But in this end, it's getting smaller.
Yeah.
But we're packing more design and more efficiencies and things like that into these smaller footprints.
Yeah. I also think there's something about individuality, because we've hosted probably about 30 people over these past days, and people coming in, we had a family of 4 in here, and then we piled in another 4 more. So we had maybe like 9 people at once in this room, and it was cozy. And I think it was one of our best sessions, because it was just, we were sharing physical space, but we were also, speaking our truth, and it was comfortable. It was by no means uncomfortable. And so like, even just that, knowing that, try it and then see what you can fit in. But when we're talking about the pods and what you've done here, for those that are not in the room, there's one that we're looking at that has incredible, trim and lighting and beautiful walls. And the one we're in also has like more of an open space feel to it. And we're in a table in a room with a monitor, open windows that gives you a lot of light, natural light. The idea of individualizing the experience, and so that you can not necessarily have to go big with a huge office or a huge home, but that you can create a very intentional room that just is what you need it to be. I feel like we're getting more of that as consumers.
No, absolutely. And I think a lot of take on that is that helps with that is design. We're huge into bringing the outside in. I love floor to ceiling glass. You can definitely build 4 walls and have 1 window. It's gonna feel like a cave.
Yeah.
That's something that helps that 100 square foot office out as well. The more glass that you have in it, the more you feel, or the less restricted you actually feel in that space, and the more open it feels, which again can allow you to go smaller to what you actually physically need. You don't need expansive. It's kind of funny. If you look at the houses even 5 years ago, there's a ton of wasted space just in homes in general, be it in hallways, niches. Very few families these days even use a formal dining room anymore.
True.
A lot of times we're building them into kitchens or an informal dining area, because they're just wasted space. At the end of the day, you're paying to heat those, to light those, things like that. And do you really need it? No. Or do you take that money that you just spent on that square footage for that formal dining room and put it into your areas of interest, your living rooms, your kitchens, and your outdoor spaces? So it's taking that larger mentality and just scaling it down to this.
Yeah. Well, I even feel like the way we live has changed from the 1950s, and the roles and responsibilities of women versus men, and having someone cook and be in a separate room. And so you walk in via a door. And I had a house when I first moved to Austin in Pemberton, the smallest house on Harris.
Yeah.
But it was very formal, and you had a swinging door into the kitchen, and then a very separate living room. And I feel like, well, that models the time and the era with which this house in this neighborhood was built, and that everything was distinct. You had roles and responsibilities. But as I feel more and more women started working, and then the need for an open concept kitchen, because you know, if you're cooking, you want to maximize your time with the family. And so where we're at now is a large, in my mind, function of how people live.
Absolutely.
And what home life looks like.
No, absolutely. And if we live outside of work in more of a communal atmosphere, why would we not work in that same way?
Yeah.
You know, make it more enjoyable. I'd much rather hang out with people that I enjoy and I can learn from and look at and look up to, in the same tone as those are the people that I want to live with.
Yeah.
You know, so why would you have the segregation of the way you live after work versus the way you work?
Yeah.
You know, I think you produce the best out of people if they are comfortable in their setting. So what are those comforts? It's much like we pretty much travel with an office in our bag these days. You know, outside of having a printer, you know, you can print anything just about anywhere, but everybody works off a laptop or their phone. So you have a mobile office. So what do you truly need? You know, I think there's
space,
a difference.
I would say that space that inspires you, right?
Absolutely.
An energy that flows, that you feel like this is a groove I could jive to, and you want to share. And I feel like that's what you've created here, because that's what we really enjoyed talking.
Well, and just the onslaught of creativity. And that's something that you guys have helped bring to it as well. You know, we definitely wanted to build an area in which we exercise practice what we preached in office out of our modular units. But you've helped as well bring a great deal of sensibility to this. Because we're running 100 miles an hour, we see it, but it's almost, you also helped inspire it by decorating it and things of that nature on top of it. Plus, with the amounts of people that have come in, it's allowed us to visualize, hey, this idea really can work. You know, because it's only a few of us here, and we're typically in and out, or we're very task oriented, so we're typically going to do something real fast and then get out. But it's been wonderful over the past couple of days, just looking to see what this can be.
Awesome. It's mutual for us. We've really enjoyed kind of maximizing the space, and anytime I can go out and shop for furniture, I'm all
down,
good.
You're good.
I'm my mother's daughter.
Yeah.
That said, this is one of a few businesses that you've kind of developed, and you started building homes, and then this is kind of the pod differentiator that you've established. What's next for Sett Studio?
Oh, goodness. Land development, you know, and mindful land development is something that we're looking into as well, and something that we do have underway. Again, it goes with size and form and design. So whereas in the downtown area, land is definitely more scarce and more expensive, and you don't have the luxury of expansive land like you do in the suburbs. So how do you best design around certain standards, and how do you best utilize the land that you do have? Those are things that we're focused on big time. And again, everything, whether it's a single family home, one of these studios or pods, or more dense housing, it all surrounds itself by design. And I think design is the largest part to this entire concept, no matter what size it is. So just utilizing the design that we do have and have the knowledge to best support the markets today, because the market's constantly changing. Even with the millennials that are coming up, they don't want big houses. They want small and efficient.
And quality of living over flash.
Absolutely. And so it makes sense. So it's kind of funny. I've always got this saying that if teepees were in style, we'd build teepees. You know,
I would buy one.
You would buy one as long as
have you seen the
AC.
space?
Yeah.
It feels very intuitive to me.
Yes, exactly. So, and everything goes back to design at the end of the day.
What, from an advice perspective, because you're an entrepreneur and we've loved kind of knowing you all these years as a family friend, and someone that is successful in developing and executing against ideas, for the people who may be listening who have ideas who haven't necessarily gone from paper to action, what advice would you give?
You know, there's always that saying that if if you do what you love, you don't feel like you're working. I think that is honestly true. I don't feel like what I do is work. I enjoy it. And I've been very blessed to be able to do that. Very few people get stuck in a monotonous routine every morning, every afternoon, every evening. And I don't feel like I've done that. So actually chasing and figuring out what your passions are. What are you passionate about doing? What do what's going to help improve your well-being, your community's well-being, and everyone around you. And if you can pinpoint what those things are and figure out a way either to make a business out of it as an entrepreneur, or figure out how you can associate yourself with those type of models or things, that's what's truly going to make you happy. And especially, again, going back to, I don't feel like I get up and work every day. I don't look at today as, oh no, I've got to go to this job site or meet with this client. I love that. I really enjoy it. So you got to do what you're passionate about.
Agreed. And I feel the same way. I feel like, there's some sense about paying dues, and that's how I learned everything that I know, and that's how I think from a training perspective, I give a lot of credit to the people who took time and invested in kind of getting me to an expertise level to where I could do my own thing. Yeah. Where do you find your source of training? Like, who gave you the tools and the guide? Book?
It's kind of funny. The School of Hard Knocks was a great teacher. But I think being open enough to, I never want to feel like I'm at the point where I'm done learning. I love learning. I love hearing different ideas from people. I've got my way of doing things. It doesn't mean it's right though. I love to hear from employees, from friends, from colleagues and clients. What's a different way to do it? I love the idea of having 6 sets of eyeballs look at the same thing and giving their perspective on how it could be different. It's kind of funny. It's like you can take a Bible verse and have one person read it and then 4 others, and we'll get a different thing from each person's interpretation. It's the same thing. You take what you want and leave the rest, but finding out different opinions and being open-minded enough to learn that there are different ways that could help you improve is huge. Yeah. So I think that's one of the greatest things that you have to remember. Your way is not always the right way. Yeah. There's always something that's going to be better, and it's being open enough to be able to receive that.
That's incredible. Well, I want to thank you for your time and the space and being so open with what you've created, because it's really inspired us to think about what's next, and we look forward to growing.
Absolutely.
Mindfully with you.
Yes.
Not about more space. It's about better impact.
Yeah, absolutely. An environment.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Hi, thanks so much for listening to us at APC Chats. Hopefully you walk away with some additional perspective or insight that you didn't have before. That said, if you want to continue the conversation, please do so following us at APC Collective on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Thanks so much.